Whoops. Oh, that's what I want to do. Sorry. It's the technical part. Yeah. Why did that happen? Okay. All right. So this little square thing's going to be kind of in our way. Hopefully it's going to load. There we go. So again, welcome to Early Childhood PBIS. We already did all this stuff for the people watching the Zoom. You'll just get to watch 2.5-ish hours of fun. All right. Things to know about this place. Bathrooms are right around the corner. There's also a water fountain there. Breaks, I'm going to try to do breaks every now and then. We'll try to get up and do some brain breaks if we need to too, just because it's hard to sit. We're used to being with kids all day and moving. This room and the videos, I could not get my sound hooked up. So when we do have some videos, and I didn't bring my speakers because I didn't think we needed them. So I'm just going to crank up this, and you'll have to listen to the videos as best as you can. If you need to get close, you can get close. Raise your hand if you're taking this for credit. You are? I think 2 people were. Keisha, I think you were signed up. Okay. So I did send you to a rubric, just so you know. If you have questions, you can come up to me and ask afterwards. Expectations I have of you at this point, I want you to participate. So what does participate look like when we're in a group like this?
Raise your hand.
Yeah, raise your hand, talk. If I'm throwing something out, or if I say get in your groups and talk together, that's what I expect, just to participate, because this is for you guys. And the more you participate, the more you're going to get out of it. So I definitely want that. Be courteous. There are no wrong answers. We're all at different levels of what we know about children, of how long we've been working with children. So there are no silly questions. We just want to get more information. So let's be courteous and just acknowledge that. Sometimes we will be talking about some of our students, leave them nameless, and just say a student or give them a fake name. And just remember what is said here. We just want to keep it here. We're not going to go spread things all over the community. Another thing as far as courteousness goes, if you have a cell phone, please put it on vibrate. So we don't have to listen to your phones ring. I did put mine on vibrate, and I guarantee my husband will call me at some point, because he always does, even though I tell him I'm busy. If you do have to take a phone call, you can probably go around the corner, or probably just around the corner and take a phone call. There's kind of a little maze back there, and there's a quiet place. And then also, if you have questions, ask those questions. And I will do my very best to answer, but please ask. Are there any questions so far? All right. Module 1, we're going to be going through Module 1 first of all, and then Module 2. So Module 1, learning objectives. It's for you to increase your knowledge of the key features of PBIS in early childhood. I want you to be able to understand and explain the importance of positive relationships within supportive environments. So Module 1, we look at relationships, and we also look at how we set up our classroom environments, because those 2 things, if you can do those well, you will reduce your behaviors by 80%. Just by building your relationships with children, with each other, with the families that you work with, and helping children to build relationships with each other, and setting up your environment so it's predictable, so it's safe, So kids can answer those 4 questions of, what am I supposed to be doing? How do I know when I'm done? What do I do next? And I can't think of the 4th off the top of my head, but I'll remember it later. But anyway, there's just by setting up your environments, kids should be able to just naturally not have to have you hound them and tell them what to do, but just know how to do it. I want you to develop an understanding of why teaching expectations and behaviors is critical to the success of students, and then give some examples of how you guys are already doing things that build on positive relationships. Some things that, because we learn from each other, right? And sometimes there's a group of people that really has some great ideas on how to build relationships. So let's just share those. So module 1, the agenda is, first of all, we'll look at building relationships. And you know you're not going to get through module 1 tonight, because module 1 is about 9 hours. So our first 3 days are probably going to be spent on module 1. And then module 2 will be our last 2 days. That's usually how it works. So we're going to look at building relationships, designing our environment. We're going to look at schedules, how having schedules is part of that environment piece. We want to look at routines, transitions. How do we get kids engaged? What are engaging activities? How do we teach expectations and rules? What are expectations and rules? And how we can reinforce children so they want to keep doing the right thing. How are we going to acknowledge them? And there might be a few surprises in that part, because I was surprised when it comes to that acknowledgement piece. I thought I was doing the right thing, found out I wasn't. Some of you have seen these slides before, some of you haven't. So these are just some sobering statistics when it comes to kids and their behaviors. And I do want you to note the dates on some of these. They're a little bit older. So when you were talking about Miss Lipstick, see, I remember the symbols more than the name. So Judith. So you were, Judy, you were talking about how children, when you did in-home childcare, they're different than they are now. So when you're looking at these statistics, it's probably worse now than these statistics even show. So in 1984, children who are identified as hard to manage at ages 3 and 4 have a high probability, that 50-50 chance, of continuing to have difficulties into adolescence. Think about the kids that you've watched growing up. 50-50 chance. If they were hard to handle as 3 and 4-year-olds, most likely they were hard to handle teenagers. It begins early. Early appearing aggressive behaviors are the best indicator of juvenile gang membership and violence. This one is, I think, the most important one for us to know. When aggressive and antisocial behavior has persisted to age 9, what grade is that? 3rd grade. Further intervention has a poor chance of success. So when do we really have to make sure kids get it? Absolutely. And we know that brains are wired most significantly those first 3 years of life. 80% of their brains are wired. By 5 years old, 90% of their brains are wired. So all those habits, all those things that they've already learned, they're kind of already set in their ways by age 5. So we want to make sure in our preschool years, our early childhood years, that we are giving them what they need so that they can be more successful as adults. Of the young children who show early signs of challenging behavior, it's been estimated that fewer than 10% receive services. How many children do you know with challenging behavior get therapy? Not too many. there are some evidence-based practices that change this trajectory, and PBIS is built on evidence-based practices. The things that I'm going to tell you are things that people have found that really work over the years. Researchers have been looking at these strategies for years. They've been doing all kinds of research, and they pulled the information from many different places, and they put it in one spot. They organized it all, and they're calling it the pyramid model. And that's what we're going to be learning. So the pyramid model, they added the foundation after they added the first, the blue, green, and red layers are the strategies. That very bottom one, that effective workforce, that's kind of like Lisa and other people who say, you know what, we believe early childhood PBIS works. We're this effective workforce. I'm going to give you time to learn these strategies. I'm going to give you materials and resources so we can implement these strategies. And kind of like the whole PBIS system is kind of built into that workforce too. So when I told you that 80%, if you can build relationships and have those high quality supportive environments, 80% of your behaviors can be reduced. So that's what that blue part is, 80 to 85%. If we can do this part well, 80 to 85% of our kids will be okay. They'll be able to manage their behaviors. That next layer, that green one, that targeted social emotional supports, we also do that. That's called module 2 or tier 2. That's when we're actually going to be teaching some friendship skills. We're going to be learning about emotional literacy and why that it's important to teach those things. If we can do those well, we're going to hit another 10 to 15% of our kids. That just leaves that top 1 to 5% that are going to need those really intensive behavior interventions. And we won't be looking at that part. That's module 3 for early childhood PBIS. And that's when we really get into building behavior support plans. We talk about these 3 to 4 meetings we have with families and all this data collection that we do over 2 to 4 months of time. It's very intensive. You wouldn't want to do it with 6 or 7 kids in your class, would you? It's too much. That's why we really want to make sure we get those bottom tiers in place so we don't have to go up to that top level if we don't have to. You'll notice in the presentation that some of these slides have stars. If it has a star, this might be something you might want to remember because we do take some quizzes in here. They're kind of fun quizzes. But just to know that these are some kind of important things to remember. So the goal of the pyramid model in early childhood PBIS is to promote children's success by creating an environment where every child feels good about coming to school or to childcare. You can tell when kids love being there, right? Because what do their faces look like? They're smiling, they come, they run up, their arms are open, they're ready to give you hugs. They're ready for that, you can tell. And we want to create those environments where kids feel that way when they're coming to you. We want to design an environment that promotes child engagement. When people are engaged, they're doing things that they love to do, and the time goes just like that. When they're doing things that they don't like to do or they think is tedious or monotonous or it's not in my interest, they're not engaged and they're going to check out. Little kids, when they check out, it doesn't look like when we check out. They have to be busy. So if they're not engaged and if you're not engaging them in activities that they like to do, they're going to find something that they like to do that gets their brains working, because that's just how kids are wired. We want to focus on teaching children what to do versus what not to do. We want to teach those expectations. We want to teach the routines. We want to teach children skills that they can use in place of their challenging behaviors. That's the goal of the pyramid model. This is a website that you guys can go to that's got lots and lots of information, and I'll be referring to this website a lot. Just as an example, when we're talking about how to connect, I forget, I have a magnet on my bracelet, and every time I move it close to my necklace, it gets there. So one of the things I like to do is, this is called the National Center for Pyramid Model Innovations. It's got lots and lots of stuff. It's got the CEPHL website, which we're going to look at in just a little bit. It's another great website that you can go to that's got lots of free things to download. The pyramid model and the taxi model, which is a technical assistance thing, all three of those combined and made this website right here. So it's got all of those resources into one. So if we were to go to the resource library and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I want to send something home with my families right now, you can pick on the audience. So it's like families. And I want this to be a family handout. So there we have a lot of things that we can just one-pagers. It's free. How to help your child recognize and understand anger. How to help them recognize and understand fear. We've got 44 different entries of things that we can send home with families. Some of them are in Spanish. So it's really nice for teachers if you're looking for things for yourself. Teachers and providers, and you want to have some materials that are free. If you're looking for rules for circle time, this is a fun one for you just to play around with. And usually I don't go here, but sometimes I think people just need to know that there's lots of websites. Do you guys ever go to websites? Raise your hand if you do. If you don't, I'm kind of wasting my time then, aren't I? Okay, so you guys would like that. I'll keep on going with the other part. This is the CEPHL website. And this also, if you're looking at this website, you'll see a part that has for teachers and caregivers. It looks like an apple. Click on that, and then you can go on more handouts, more free stuff. So it's another nice resource for you. The CEPHL, that Center on the Social Emotional Foundation for Early Learning, their definition of social emotional development is the developing capacity of the child from birth to age 5 to, number 1, form close and secure relationships. They also want children to experience, regulate, and express their emotions in socially and culturally appropriate ways, and to be able to explore the environment and learn, all in the context of family, community, and culture. So forming relationships, expressing their emotions in appropriate ways, and exploring the environment to learn. Those are the 3 goals of CEPHL. We're going to do a little activity right now. So what I'm going to have you guys do is, on a blank sheet of paper, or the back of a piece of paper, or alongside here, and you guys can work in pairs if you want to. It makes it a little more fun. Groups, however you want to do it. But I want you to write the alphabet on the left side from A to Z. You can work alone or with a partner, it doesn't matter. Kind of give me a signal when you've got the alphabet listed. The next thing I want you to do is to think about your own social emotional skills. Think about your social emotional strengths. Think of some words that might describe your skills and strengths, as well as those skills that you want to see and support in young children that you care for. Your own skills and strengths, things you want to see yourself support in children.
Are A, B, C, and D are 1, 2, 3, and 4?
In just a minute, when I say go, now you're going to have to write brainstorm list of those words, trying to use every letter of the alphabet. So for example, if I was, what would be an A? Somebody give me an A.
Activities. Admiration.
Admiration, attentive, good at activities with socialness. A B might be, I can't even think tonight. Or if you just want to think of social emotional words, you can do that too. That might be easier. So just think of something that has to do with social emotional. When I say go, see if you can get your whole alphabet. Everybody know what to do? And go. All right, so stand up if you had more than 10. I guess I should say count how many words you could find. If you have more than 10, please stand up. Wow. If you have more than 13, stay standing. If you have more than 15, stay standing. Okay. How many did you have, Joan? 14? Okay. Do you want to read off yours? And when you guys, if you hear any similarities.
I started with C, caring.
Okay.
E, empathy.
G, gratitude. H, happiness. I, intuitive. K, kindness. L, language. N, nice. O, openness. Q, questioning. R, resilient. S, sharing. U, understanding. And W, wonder.
Nice. Anybody else want to share theirs? Or some that she didn't have, some letters that she didn't have.
Discipline, excellence, forgiveness, greatness, initiative, and joyful.
Good. Good. Did anybody have anything for Z? Z? Oh, zealous would be a good one. What was
I
that?
said brainstorming so they can figure things out.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
That brainstorming's probably not good.
No.
I can figure things out.
Mhm. Absolutely.
What to do next.
Anybody want to share something that you think, I bet nobody thought of this?
It's safe for us.
Safe?
It's feeling safe.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. Very good idea. We'll be talking about that. Mm-hmm. Inquisitive. Really good words.
Adaptability.
Nice. So when we start thinking about all of these kinds of words, it's like, oh, wow, these are characteristics. These are things that I want to build into my children. And when we start thinking positively, it changes, I don't know, it kind of changes how we see kids. It kind of changes our focus on what we want to do with children. So thinking about our behaviors and how our behaviors, how challenging behavior affects our behaviors, I want you guys to think about behaviors that push your buttons. And I need a volunteer. I have a chart over here. Do we have anybody creative that likes to draw? Thank you. So when we're talking about, tell you what I'm going to have you do. First of all, I want you to write down your top 3 behaviors. Just on your own piece of paper. You'll be ready here. We'll be using it. So your top 3 behaviors that drive you crazy. And if you're old enough to remember chalkboards, these would be the things that are like fingernails on the chalkboard. You can't stand it. Your top 3. All right. Does everybody have their 3 or at least 2? So we're going to start in the back corner back there. And this table, way in the back, you're going to just one at a time share one of yours, and you're going to write it up on there, okay? And once you share one, anybody who had that one as your top 3, I want you to also raise your hand so then you can put a number behind it, okay? So we'll start with you. Yeah, just you. We'll just do one of yours and then we'll just keep going on till.
Asked to stand up and then stand up.
So they
Refusing.
so they go
You
limp.
to say, let's go get in line. And let's stand
Okay.
up and they just
So they
want to-
can I just call, can we call that going limp
Yeah.
when asked? Okay. So put going limp. Did anybody else have that as a when told what to do, they go limp? So just one person? You kind of did?
I have refusal, like flat out, no. And you say, let's go wash our hands. No.
Okay. Let's call that, let's put that one down too.
Under this one?
Yeah, that'll be a new one. So we'll call this one refuse by saying no. Yeah? Or just refuse?
Just refuse.
Just refuse. Okay.
I have something like that.
Who all had, so we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people had that as one of your top 3. So put a number 7 by that one.
What about the first one?
First one was 1. I think just one person. Okay, how about you? Did you have another one? Biting? Raise your hand if that was one of your top 3. Okay, so just one.
I had when you call their name and then you know you're talking to them and they just stare at you and just.
So ignore. Okay. Put ignore, IGNORE. And 3 people, raise your hands again for ignore. Ooh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 people for that one.
Talking back.
Talking back. Okay. So raise your hand for talking back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. Okay. Are you next, Keisha?
Spitting.
Spitting. Who put spitting as their top 3? Just one? Okay.
Just talking to them.
Okay. Just put talking when it's quiet time. Or it's just talking.
What's
With-
talking when it's a quiet time?
Yeah.
Not listening.
I look at it different. I look at that different. I look at that just because I'm thinking of my nephew who talks all the time. So yeah, just talking out of turn or talking when it's talking when it's supposed to be quiet. Who else had that one? Just the one? Okay. Who is next? What does that look like? Or sound like?
Probably under kind of this.
I think I know what you mean. And if it's just like always just everything is you just kind of like butt heads. It's kind of that no. Is it kind of in that no too? Or you could just put bad attitude. That's fine.
I have something I think that falls with that. I have oppositional. They're like, whatever you say, they're just opposing. They're oppositional.
Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. So put like a / oppositional.
Yes.
Oh, / argumentative. So who had oppositional, argumentative, and bad attitude? So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 people. Anybody? Okay, who's next? Oh. Mocking. Okay. Who else had mocking as one of your top 3? This one. Maria, what did you have?
Disrespect.
Disrespectful. Okay. Who else had disrespectful as one of your top?
I have disrespect, lack of respect for property, self, and others.
Then who said that? You did? So at least 2 people had that one? Or 3? 3 people? 3 people had that. All right. Mary. Okay.
Mine are all there. They had interrupting, but I kind of put that in with disrespectful.
Okay. Did anybody else have interrupting too? Okay. Yours are up there. Do you have any others that you wanted to add?
I have whining.
Whining. Did anybody else have whining for their top 3? 1, 2, 3. Raise your hands again for whining. 1, 2, 3. 3. Anybody else? Did you have any more that haven't been up there?
I like to have them use their words instead of.
Okay.
I would say if I was blind, I wouldn't know what they were doing.
Okay.
Instead of nodding, just
Okay. So not using their words.
not using them.
Okay.
But that is one of my things I worked on.
Okay.
Can I put lack of communication?
Sure. Anybody else have that? Okay, so 1. And Alondra, did you have any that you wanted to add?
No,
Think they're covered?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're welcome to stay up there and being, or if you wanted to pass the torch to somebody else. Sure. So these are all the behaviors. I want you to think of how different things bother us. We all don't have the same 3, right? There's a huge list. It looks like our top ones are refusing and ignoring. At least in this group, those are our top. And talking back, yes, thank you. So those are the big ones. I'm in different groups, and sometimes it's whining. Sometimes it just depends on the group. It depends on us. So when we think about these behaviors, how do they make us feel? When these things happen, shout out to Alondra how you feel when kids do these behaviors. Frustrated. Really frustrated. How else does it make you feel?
Disrespectful.
You feel disrespected.
Sometimes inadequate.
Yeah,
You can't control it.
right.
Okay.
Inadequate. I-N.
Wait, I-N.
I am.
I-N. Oh, wait, I know.
Yep. Good. How else do you feel? Aggravated.
Because I have 1 and 2. 1.
2.
My first reaction last time was anger.
You get angry. We feel anger. I know sometimes, depending on my mood, sometimes I feel defeated. It's like, I've tried these things over and over and over, and this kid still does this.
What am I doing wrong?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Any other feelings that you're feeling when those behaviors happen? We're frustrated, we're disrespected, we feel inadequate, aggravated, angry, defeated. Are those good feelings? No. So here's the next thing I want you to think about. When you're feeling frustrated, disrespected, inadequate, angry, aggravated, and defeated, how does that impact your relationship with that child?
Well, at that time, you're not very happy with them.
No, and it negatively impacts your relationship with the child. How does it impact your relationship with that child's family? What I'm going to try to have you do, and I guess you don't have to write anything, but this was more just to think about. It does, those feelings do impact our relationships with the children that we work with and the families that we work with. So if those are negative feelings, we have to try to, what we're calling, reframe our thinking. Let's give Alondra a big hand for being our child. Thank you. And you can have a seat for a while.
Good sandwich, Alondra. What? A good sandwich.
Did you eat her sandwich? So what we're going to do is we're going to do some thought control here, because when we're feeling that way, our stress level gets up here. When we're feeling frustrated, disrespected, when we're angry, and we're stressed and our stress level's up here, we lose our ability to think rationally. So we need to we need to try to calm ourselves and get some more calming thoughts. So here's an example, and we're going to look at quite a few. The upsetting thought, or this negative feeling, that child is a monster. This is getting ridiculous. He'll never change. Have you ever thought that way? And you don't have to admit it. Instead of thinking that way, a different way to think is, this child is testing me to see where the limits are. My job is to stay calm and help him learn better ways to interact. We're just trying to flip our thinking a little bit off of the child and kind of, what can I do about it? What might I think? How can I think differently so I can calm my thoughts and rationally work with this child? Another one, I'm sick of putting out fires. Instead, I can handle this. I'm in control. They have just learned some powerful ways to get control. I will teach them more appropriate ways to behave. Here's some other ones. Have you ever thought this? I wonder if the corner grocery store is hiring. Instead of thinking that way, I want you to think, I feel undervalued right now. I need to seek support from my peers and my supervisor. Here's another one. He ruins everything. This is going to be the worst year of my career. And my favorite response, having her in my class is going to be a wonderful professional development experience. And I will tell you that is true, because I remember, he's old now, so I think I can say his first name. His name was Ray. And he was my little terror in my classroom. And I remember feeling those feelings, frustrated, angry, defeated. I felt like all I did was just try to corral Ray until I learned to help him manage his behavior. And it's like, wow, that was the best professional development experience for me, because he taught me about myself and taught me to really love kids with behavior. I've always loved them before because I had a brother that had issues, behavior issues all the time. And I think that's why I'm drawn to those kids. But yeah, once you change your mindset, it's a good thing. So we're going to practice. The upsetting thought, that child never stops crying. He is driving me crazy. What could be a way we can reframe that and change our thoughts? Yeah. Yeah. That child never stops crying. Why do you think that child might be crying? What can I do to make him feel safe? What can I do to make him feel comfortable? Here's another one. I can't calm him. Nothing works. Maybe center care is not for him. What's a different way we can think about that one?
To investigate why the child is probably afraid.
What can I do? Again, you're starting to see it from the child's viewpoint and seeing, reframing to look at yourself as a helper or someone that can get help from someone. Okay, here is some of their ideas. That first one, this child is getting to know me and learning how to regulate. My job is to stay calm and help soothe him. As I stay calm and keep trying to find ways to comfort him, we will develop a better relationship, which will help him. Kind of what you just said, but in a long sentence, a couple of sentences. But yeah, we want him to stay safe, learn how to self-regulate, learn how to calm. And if we can teach children those strategies, then we can better develop relationships with them. That second one where I can't calm him, the calming thought is, I can handle this. I'm in control. I'm not alone. I can ask others for help and support. You have a team of people that you work with. Sometimes when you know that there's certain behaviors that are your triggers, it's like, Keisha, that's my trigger. Let's swap out for a minute because I have a feeling I'm going to lose it and I need to go calm down for a little bit. Or if you have a calming place in your room, which we will talk about as part of your environment setup, tell the kids, you know what? I'm frustrated right now. And if I don't go to the calming center, I'm probably going to get to a level 4 voice. And I know that's not appropriate here. I got to go. And then just show them what it looks like when a person's frustrated and needs to calm down, because they're learning from us. They might not have those positive supports at home. They might not have people that model appropriate behavior for them at home when they're angry. They need us to show them what it's supposed to look like. Upsetting thought. Sarah is only trying to get to me and ruin my day.
Sarah's lashing out.
And how can I respond? Yeah, I can show her, there's got to be a reason. Maybe she's just having a bad day. I'll try to help her find a good day. I don't know how to do this. This child's needs are beyond my training. We can't just kick them out, guys. That doesn't help. Remember all those sobering facts that I showed you? If we don't help them now, when they get to school, they're already behind when it comes to social emotional development. And so that trajectory is just, it's going to continue unless we can be there to help them. Again, Sarah is not developmentally capable of this. She may have learned that this is a good way to get her needs met. I can work harder to teach her better ways to get her needs met. The other one, I work as part of a team. We can work together to try to figure this out. This child in this family needs me. And I want you to remember your parents that you work with, they're a part of the team. Use them as part of the team. They're not our enemies. Sometimes we feel like that. It's like, oh my goodness, they're going to go home to this family and I know it's chaos. Well, it might be. So they need support too. So sometimes you have to be the support to the child and to the family. In your packets, do you have an activity paper called the reframing activity? Like I said, I don't think everything got in here that was supposed to be in here. I don't think so. So we're going to do this just as a large group then. So here's a problem statement. He whines from the moment he gets here until the time he gets on the bus to go home. What could be our reframed statement on that? And it's not in your packet. He whines from the moment he gets here until he gets on the bus to go home. Their response, their idea, he must really miss his family. Isn't that a different, do we feel different? If I were to say a kid walks in the door and there's a teacher or an adult saying he whines from the moment he gets here until the time he leaves. That already puts you in a negative tone, even if it's not you saying it, but just hearing it puts you in a negative tone. Same kid comes in the door crying. Wow, he must really miss his family. Can you see how that already changes your thought and the people that have to listen to you? Here's the next one. She is clingy not only with her mother, but with other adults as well. She's so clingy. Or she might be slow to warm up in new settings or in the presence of other children and adults. She's just slow to warm up. So clingy, we just want to push her away. Slow to warm up, we're giving her the time she needs to come into the activities. Here's the next one. I have to watch him like a hawk, or he'll run down the hall or go out the gate. How are we feeling towards that child when we have statements like that? I have to watch him like a hawk, or he's going to run. He's going to do it. Or he may not understand my expectations about staying with the group. He's very active. Just a different way to think. And here's the last one. She constantly knocks over other children's constructions or destroys other children's artwork. I've heard that when I come into classrooms and they want me to look at certain kids. Oh yeah, she's always destroying everybody's everything. Or she may want to join in other children's play and she might not know how to ask. She may be frustrated because she doesn't know how to play with the materials or how to complete her project. Looking at things differently really helps us deal with our own negative behaviors because we have to have those positive relationships with kids. That warm-up activity that I had you guys do where we had to share our symbol is just a little way to help us get to know each other just a little bit because not all of us know each other. The more relationships, the more connections we can make with people, the better the relationships will be. If you do not have good relationships with the kids that you work with, they will not listen to you because they don't care, because they know you don't care about them. So the very first thing you have to do is to build those relationships and show kids that you care about them and that you love them and that you're there for them. So factors that contribute to misbehavior. Sometimes it's biological. Sometimes kids are just wired high strung, or they're wired to be more touchy. I can't think of the right word. And I'm thinking of, I have a niece that is just wired to be, I don't know, she was a hard to handle kid. She whined all the time. She threw things. She screamed. She was a difficult adolescent. She's a wonderful adult now with some issues, but for the most part, it can just be biological. Sometimes it could be experiences they had at birth, just the way they're wired. It could be environmental. It could be certain smells, certain touches, too hot, too cold. And it could be the school or the childcare setting. The way you have your place structured up. It could be a clash with certain personalities. And there are a lot of statistics that talk about this. And I can't remember the exact percent, but the U.S. Department of Ed did a study, and I want to say it was like more than 50% of behavior problems are related to the school and the people in the school. It's not necessarily just the kids.
I had a meeting. I had a meeting with a child that has a lot of behavior problems. And the parents were there, and the dad said, he came home the other day and he flat out said to me, he said, "Why do you don't like it?" I mean, this child's 4. It's been 4. He knows that already.
And that is a huge predictor of his school failure. It really is. And there is an NPR radio thing I listened to the other day, and it was exactly that. And again, it's a percentage. I don't remember the percentage, but when kids know that the teacher doesn't like them, why bother?
There's not a lot of behaviors going on. Like, because the daycare staff doesn't like them.
Wow. I hope everybody was around the table and okay. Yeah. I mean, that's the first place to change. We all have expectations for our kids, right? There are some developmental expectations that we kind of just think happen. For example, when a child is first born, we don't really have a lot that we expect them to do developmentally. At about what age do they start rolling? Anybody rolling from side to side, front to back? Yeah, 3 months, 4 months, something like that. How about sitting? Yep, yep. How about crawling? 8, 9, 10 months, something like that. Walking around a year. And most kids fall within that range. That's just kind of a developmental expectation. We also have some resources. This is, if you guys have ever gone to the Iowa State Extension Office, and if anybody wants me to give you this PowerPoint so you can just click on these links, I can do that. Just send me an email and say, hey, I would like this PowerPoint so I can click on the links. But ISU Extension Office has ages and stages where you can just print off, this is what 3-year-olds are, it goes from birth, I think, to 12, at least 12, maybe 15, I don't remember, but at least it covers our ages. But and you can find out what are children developmentally in the ballpark, the average kid, what do they typically do at age 1, age 2, age 3s and 4s, 5s and 6s? And it's just kind of nice to know that. What should I expect of them cognitively with their language? And you can share that with parents, because sometimes parents have high expectations and sometimes it's vice versa. And so if you can just share that with your families, and they might say, oh, I didn't realize I should be teaching my child to put their own clothes on by themselves. Things you didn't know. We also, not only do we have different expectations between ourselves, there's also some cultural differences. And so this next couple of slides talks about that. So we have our own individual beliefs. I believe that, I grew up in the 60s and 70s, so my beliefs are going to be different than people who are younger than me. I believe all children should have a chance to play outside. I believe every child can learn. I believe we should sit around the table as a family for meals. And these are just some of my beliefs. Not everybody believes like me, but this is, if I don't share that with the kids I work with, they're not going to know those things. We also have different cultural beliefs. So people who are in different ethnic backgrounds than what I have. I come from a white, middle-class-ish family. We think differently than when my mom grew up. She was raised in Alabama, and she was a very poor family. We have different beliefs, different ways of growing up. And all of these affect our attitudes and our behavior. Infants and toddlers and preschoolers do not come to school knowing what our expectations and our belief systems are. So how are we supposed to tell them? How are they supposed to know? How are they supposed to know sit crisscross applesauce? Applesauce is something I eat. Why do I have to sit in it? How do they know that we wash our hands after we use the bathroom if nobody's taught them? How do they know the expectation is to sit down at a table and nobody gets up until everyone is finished? Most kids I know anymore, they're grazers. They don't have sit-down meals anymore. So just thinking about all of those different things, those are just a few things. And then when we put ethnic things into it, we all have our own cultures, and there's different things that people do, different expectations. I think this was in 2000, and this is just a chart looking at just 3 different ethnic backgrounds when it comes to some simple things like eating solid food, drinking from a sippy cup, using spoons and forks. Look at all of these, and I just want you to look at them. What stands out to you? Like which ones? I had a woman in my group that was she grew up as a child of a missionary, and so I can't remember the name of the island that she was at, but it was very close to the Philippines. And so when she would tell me, she said, "Oh, here's why they did this," and it was the plane alone. It was the plane alone. She said, "It's because." Oh, what did she tell me? I just heard it. Because mom stayed home from work. They didn't work outside the home, and the kids were always, I know, they had little jingle bells on their feet. That's what it was. When babies were born, they were given little bracelets with jingle bells. And so when the kids would wake up and they would start moving, parents could hear them jingling and they knew they were okay, so that when they heard the jingle, it was okay for them to play by themselves because they knew they were okay. And I thought, wow, not knowing that, when I just look at these numbers, it's different. And there was a couple of other things too. The weaning, I can't remember, there was something with the milk too. The reason that but anyway, it's just interesting. So sometimes we have different expectations for our children, and when other cultures and their families come in, they don't know our expectations, we don't know their expectations, and we're looking at them like, are you kidding me? They still are having their child on a bottle. And that's okay in their culture. When I worked with some families, it was okay. When I did birth to 3 home intervention, and I had families that they would let their babies have the bottles until they were 3 years old. I didn't grow up that way. My grandma threw mine in the garbage, or my mom threw mine in the garbage at 18 months because she had me weaned at 12 months, and my grandma kept giving it back to me. But some families, it's okay for 3 years old. That's okay. We just need to know that and share those, have those conversations. So thinking about the families that you work with, how might differing cultural experiences among you guys and other caregivers, how does that impact your work with the children and their social emotional development? Or do you have that happen?
I'm thinking of it. So I sit down at the lunch table with my students, and some of my students have a propensity to use their fingers for what I consider non-finger food. And so I have to phrase it in a way that they understand my expectation. So I say, if you use a spoon, then your fingers won't get dirty.
Does that work?
Mostly. Mostly.
Okay. So your expectation is that when children are sitting at the table, and if it looks like it should be eaten with a utensil, your expectation is for them to use it.
Right. Like corn, kernels of corn,
Mm-hmm.
or applesauce. Yeah. I really don't think you should pick that up with your fingers.
Mm-hmm. And thinking about our families, I swear, I bet there's a lot of kids that don't have fruits and vegetables as part of their main menu. It's French fries, burgers, and pizza, and
Right.
chicken nuggets.
Right.
Yeah. And mac and cheese. Yeah. So how does that, I like how you handled that though.
I give them a reason for
Uh-huh.
my expectation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you use your spoon, your fingers won't get dirty.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't care if their fingers are dirty.
Right.
Well, I'll have to go to the bathroom and wash your hands before you can go play.
And sometimes I would just say, you know, hey guys, we're at preschool, and at preschool we're here to practice, and part of the practice is learning how to use silverware skillfully as an adult would use it. And here's how we hold our spoons. We hold them like this. So because did you know that however you hold, the more practice you have with silverware, it actually leads into handwriting. So we're seeing probably poorer handwriters because we don't use silverware as much, because it's so much easier to throw all the food on the table and have it be finger food. So they need that extra practice. So yeah, we're in daycare, we're in childcare, we're in preschool, we practice here. Let's see how many bites you can do with your spoon, and just make it fun. And yeah. Let's see if we can all do it without getting anything on our fingers today. As a caregiver, can you think of any example where you had differing values or beliefs about how to care for an infant or a toddler or a preschooler, different beliefs than an adult, than that parent did?
I had a mom carry her 4-year-old to the prom.
And
My belief is that they should be practicing their independent walk and maybe hopefully they're not. Yeah.
mhm. So would that be a reframing moment or a here's my expectation and why moment?
Well, they were babies, so I didn't have an opportunity to.
Oh. Does it happen all the time or was it just that once?
reframe it.
Because we have that sometimes too in some of the schools I work with. Usually it's a child with special needs. I can think of one in particular, and Dad would always carry him in. And so then we talked about, and then the child would have a hard time letting go of Dad. So we talked about just, we want to make him more independent and have a certain routine when he comes to school. So we just, we created a new routine and the kid was totally fine with it. But Dad, this was his baby. And you just, sometimes you have to look at it from many different perspectives. Why might they be carrying the child? And how? Yeah.
I fully believe that this mom doesn't want to let go of her child too soon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, yeah, I see that a lot. The hurry. So just think about how it affects, because we can't help but to have negative feelings sometimes when you see that. It's like, oh my goodness. But try to reframe, try to see why, and then how can you bridge that gap so you don't have those negative feelings. Does anybody need a break? We've been going for about an hour and a half. Do you want raise your hand if you need a 5-10 minute break.
Well, me, because I just want to eat my sandwich, but I don't want to do that.
Oh, we won't listen. You can do it. You can eat your sandwich. Okay, we'll do it. We'll do a 5-minute break.
Just like this. Watch, if you want to.
We're gonna take it off.
Look, we can just see.
And you smash it. You love it? No, I'm sassy, I love it.
Okay, guys, we have resumed recording. There was it wasn't really a study. Kindergarten teachers were asked, what skills do children need to have when they come into kindergarten? These are the skills they said. They need to have a sense of confidence. What does a child or a person look like when they're confident? What does that look like? What does it sound like?
Talk freely.
Yeah. Stand up straight. You're willing to do things. It's like, yeah, I just feel, you just can see it when a person feels confident. They need to have the capacity to develop good relationships with peers and adults. This is what PBIS is going to help you with, help you definitely with this skill. They need to have concentration and persistence on challenging tasks. Hopefully, when things are engaging for children, when they have that confidence and they have that initiative and you let them know, it's okay, we're preschool here, we're childcare, we're here to practice, we're here to learn, we're here to grow. Keep trying, you'll get it. How many more times do you want to try? And just encourage them to try on those challenging tasks. That's what kids need to be successful. The ability to effectively communicate their emotions rather than screaming, throwing, falling down, just being able to say, you know what, I'm frustrated here. I'm really ticked off. I'm a little bit upset. However, they need to be able to express that. The ability to listen to instructions and be attentive. That's a great skill to have, right? We want to teach children how to listen to us and how to follow our directions. And the ability to solve social problems. How do I get my toy back? Do I negotiate? Do I offer a trade? Or do I whack them on the head and grab the toy and run? We want to do it in an appropriate way. So if children don't have each one of these skills, what happens? That's when you have behaviors. If they're not sure how to do it, you're going to see the drop down, the going limp. I don't think I can do this, teacher. I'm going to pretend I'm limp. If they don't feel like they have good relationships, which we know what that looks like, they're going to hit, they're going to scream, they're just going to kind of go in their little shell. If they can't concentrate and persist on challenging tasks, no, I'm not going to do it. Forget it. I'm done. I give up. I need help. If they can't effectively communicate their emotions, the hit, the kick, the scream, the run, they're trying to tell us something through those. They can't listen to instructions and be attentive. I'm going to ignore you because I don't know what you're saying and you're talking like in 15 sentences and I can only handle 2. And the ability to solve social problems. They have no clue how to engage in play, how to join another student. So you know what? I think I'm just going to poke her, or I'm going to hit her, or do something like that. Why won't it switch? Isn't it weird when technology is just annoying? Wow. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So, thinking about behavior, thinking about what we do as educators, as teachers to our little children. If a child does not know how to read, we teach. If a child does not know how to swim, what do? We teach them how to swim. If they don't know how to multiply, we teach them how to multiply. If they don't know how to drive, we teach them how to drive. If they don't know how to behave, what do? Do we punish them or do we teach them? If we can think of behavior as just another skill that we need to teach, then why don't we teach it? Why do we punish it? We wouldn't make a child sit in a corner because they don't know how to read, but we do it with behavior. So this is where I'm trying to get you guys to shift your thinking a little bit and think of behavior as social emotional skills as just something else we need to teach. When we're talking about challenging behavior, this is the behavior that we've tried everything else. It's that repeated pattern of behavior that interferes with learning, and it interferes with relationships, either with peers or with adults. And it happens consistently over and over and over. And the behaviors are not responsive to the use of the developmental things that we do with other children. It's just not responsive. We've done that 80%. We've built our relationships. We've set up our environment. We've taught these social emotional skills. We've taught friendship skills. We've taught all these other things, but they're still doing these challenging behaviors. That's what they're talking about when we talk about challenging behavior in PBIS. Challenging behavior has a message. It's a form of communication. And did you notice the star? Challenging behavior, children use it to either get something or someone, or to avoid or get away from something or someone. When you think of children who are biting or ignoring or going limp or spitting, are they trying to get something or get away or avoid something? And then how are we responding to that behavior? Are we inadvertently rewarding them if they're wanting to gain attention from us? And you've heard that negative attention is better than no attention. We've all heard that phrase, but it is. For kids who want attention, they'll take whatever attention they can get because they might not get any attention any other way. That persistent behavior works. With my niece, remember I told you I had a challenging niece? She was a whiner. Mom, I want this. No, you can't have it. But I want it. You can't have it. 15 times she was told no, but she knew if she kept pushing, fine, have it. Now go to grandma's. Not only did she get what she wanted, then she got to go to grandma's where life was amazing. It worked all the time. We instead need to teach children what to do in replacement of that challenging behavior. And that's what you're going to learn. So challenging behavior usually has a message. It could be, I'm bored, I'm sad, you hurt my feelings, I need some attention. They use that challenging behavior when they don't have that social skills or the communication skills that they need to engage in more appropriate interactions. That behavior persists over time, and it's working for the child. And again, we just need to focus on teaching children what to do in place of that challenging behavior. So this is kind of looking at our old thinking. In our old thinking, there's general interventions for all behaviors. You spit, go to the corner or go to your room. You hit your brother, go to your room. You did this, go to your room. There's an intervention that's the same for every behavior. Do you see that? You did an offense, now you're in timeout. Or you're kicked out of preschool, whatever it is. The intervention in our old thinking, we're not going to think this way anymore, but it's typically reactive. We wait. We know it's going to happen. We know it's going to happen. Just watch, just watch. He's going to go over there by Billy, and then he's going to hit him and go to the corner. It's reactive. We wait for it to happen, and then we respond. Our focus is on reducing that negative behavior. That's all we can think about is that negative behavior. He's always this. He's always that. He does this every time. He did it 15 times yesterday, 24 times today. We got to reduce it. That's all we think about. and we want a quick fix. In the old days, if you said bad words, that quick fix was wash your mouth out with soap. Got it done. Or a pop on the rear end. Quick fix, reactive. PBIS is more focused on getting up things up front. It's more positive. It's called positive social emotional interventions. The intervention is matched to the purpose or the function of the behavior. So if the child is trying to get something, our intervention is matched to teach the child a new way to request how to get something. If the behavior is to avoid something, always running away from circle time, always running out the door because I don't want to do whatever, our intervention is matched to teach the child how to request to get away from something in an appropriate way. We're proactive. We think about what can I put in place to prevent these things from happening? What new skills do I need to teach? I'm always thinking forward. I'm thinking before it's going to happen. If I know that Freddie's always going to go and kick Johnny, I position myself and I walk over to where it's like, oh, I see he's playing with some toys. You might want to be playing too. I wonder what you could say to get him to say yes if he wanted to play toys. And you're there, you're prompting, you're helping the child, you're structuring, you're supporting, you're teaching. You're not waiting for him to misbehave so you can punish. We're teaching, we're ready for it. The focus is on teaching the new skills. And by teaching those new skills, chances are the negative skills are going to decrease because the child is going to realize that behavior doesn't work for me anymore. And I look at it like a key in a lock. So he wants to get the lock open. He wants whatever it is that he wants. And so his key is the behavior. And he does his behavior, it opens the lock, he gets what he wants. But if we change the lock, it's like, okay, now he's got to use a different behavior to get what he wants. We're just changing the lock and he's going to try. And he's going to try harder. And you have to know it gets a little bit worse because he's trying really hard to make that key work for that behavior. And he's like, oh yeah, teacher gave me a new key. This works much better. And he gets what he wants. That's what we're doing. The focus is on teaching those new skills. It is not a quick fix. It's a long-term intervention. And we just have to realize if we really want to make a difference for these children, we're in it for the long haul because we are changing our society. We have to change our society. We have to make it better for these kids. Because if not, we could be paying for them down the road when they're incarcerated or whatever. So just, we really have to help our kids. And they give us 2 pictures of old cars and a new car. Any questions on this part? Are you starting to see it makes sense? Again, this is talked to a lot. We talk about we want to promote success by creating that safe and supportive environment. You'd mentioned it before, Lisa. We want our kids to feel safe. We want them to feel like we're there to support them. We want to create an engaging environment because when it looks like a place where I belong and you care about me and you're putting things down that I like to do, wow, that's engaging to me. I want to be there. We're teaching children, again, what to do through our expectations. We teach them routines and we teach them the replacement behavior. Not like this. I walked into a child care center a couple years ago, and it was pretty much like that. I felt like it was, no, don't, stop, sit down, go over here, dude, maybe one positive comment, and then no, don't, stop, dude. And it was, I wanted to get away. And I felt those poor children, they had to want to get away. We don't want to be like that. This is a fun little brain break. Have you guys ever seen this one before? Okay, I apologize for the speaker not working that great, but this is so fun. You have to warm up your face, and this is fun for kids too. No. There we go.
Today we have a funny little song to learn and sing together called the Little Green Frog Song. It's quite a funny song, so you have to pull lots of silly faces, but it's really good for waking up all the muscles in your face. We'll break it down, so I'll sing a chunk and then you sing it back. Here we go. Went the little green frog one day. Went the little green frog. Now together. Went the little green frog one day. Went the little green frog. Great, let's move on to the next bit. Went the little green frog one day, and they all went ah. That little bit. Went the little green frog one day, and they all went ah. Great. Now the next bit. But we all know frogs go la da 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 da, la da 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 da, la da 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 da. Let's do that bit together. Ready? We all know frogs go la da 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 da, la da 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 da, la da 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 da. And the last bit. We all know frogs go la da 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 da. They don't go ah. Let's do that last bit together. We all know frogs go la da 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 da. They don't go ah. Great. Now we need to put the whole thing together. Let's try. Here we go. Went the little green frog one day. Went the little green frog. Went the little green frog one day, and they all went ah. But we all know frogs go la da 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 da, la da 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 da, la da 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 da. We all know frogs go la da 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 da. They don't go ah. Now I wonder if we can sing this a little bit faster. What do you think? Shall we have a go? Ooh, okay, everyone. Muscles working. Let's go. Went the little green frog one day. Went the little green frog. Went the little green frog one day, and they all went ah. But we all know frogs go la da 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 da, la da 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 da, la da 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 da. We all know frogs go la da 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 da. They don't go ah. Right. What do you say? A little bit faster? Yeah? Okay, this is about as fast as it can be. Do your best, try and practice, and we'll get there. Here we go. Went the little green frog one day. Went the little green frog. Went the little green frog one day, and they all went ah. But we all know frogs go la da da, la da da, la da da. We all know frogs go la da da. They don't go ah. Yay! Well done, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
It is so much fun, and I mean, you can get it on a YouTube. It's a YouTube video. You can download it, or you can just sing it. Kids love it. Kids love it, and it's kind of fun for us too. Yeah, and it's a great oral motor exercise. So it's Jamie's Brain Break, Little Green Frog. Oh, and I do notice this has a star on it. Might be something you might want to know. How many of you have seen this video? Raise your hand. This is one I like to pull in because you had mentioned that we do have children that are different than they used to be 10, 15 years ago. We have a lot of children that have more trauma in their lives. And so this, because trauma impacts behavior, I wanted to share this. So just so you're aware.
Science tells us that the experiences we have in the first years of our lives actually affect the physical architecture of the developing brain. This means that brains aren't just born, they're also built over time based on our experiences. Just as a house needs a sturdy foundation to support the walls and roof, a brain needs a good base to support all future development. Positive interactions between young children and their caregivers literally build the architecture of the developing brain. Building a sturdy foundation in the earliest years provides a good base for a lifetime of good mental function and better overall health. So just how is a solid brain foundation built and maintained in a developing child? One way is through what brain experts call serve and return interactions. Imagine a tennis match between a caregiver and a child, but instead of hitting a ball back and forth across a net, various forms of communication pass between the two. From eye contact to touch, from singing to simple games like peekaboo. These interactions, repeated throughout a young person's developing years, are the bricks that build a healthy foundation for all future development. But another kind of childhood experience shapes brain development too, and that's stress. Good kinds of stress, like meeting new people or studying for a test, are healthy for development because they prepare kids to cope with future challenges. Another kind of stress, called toxic stress, is bad for brain development. If a child is exposed to serious ongoing hardships like abuse and neglect, and he has no other caregiver in his life to provide support, the basic structures of his developing brain may be damaged. Without a sturdy foundation to properly support future development, he's at risk for a lifetime of health problems, development issues, even addiction. It's possible to fix some of the damage of toxic stress later on, but it's easier, more effective, and less expensive to build solid brain architecture in the first place. One of the things that sturdy brain architecture supports is the development of basic emotional and social skills, an important group of skills which scientists call executive function and self-regulation can be thought of like air traffic control in the child's mental airspace. Think of a young child's brain as the control tower at a busy airport. All those planes landing and taking off and all of the support systems on the ground simultaneously demand the controller's attention to avoid a crash. It's the same with a young child learning to pay attention, plan ahead and remember, and follow lots of rules. Like all of us, kids have to react to things happening in the world around them, while also dealing with worries, temptations, and obligations on their minds. As these demands for attention pile up, air traffic control helps a child regulate the flow of information, prioritize tasks, and above all, find ways to manage stress and avoid mental collisions along the way. Having this ability is a necessity for positive and level mental health. Developing effective air traffic control, overcoming toxic stress, and building solid brain architecture are things kids can't do on their own. And since strong societies are made up of healthy, contributing individuals, it's up to us as a community to make sure all young people have the kinds of nurturing experiences they need for positive development. To build better futures, we need to build better brains.
In that video, what stands out to you? What can you do? One of the things, this was basically a video to help talk about adverse childhood experiences, these are the 10 adverse childhood experiences that kids may have when they come to you. Growing up in a household from birth to 18 that has recurrent physical abuse, emotional or sexual abuse, emotional or physical neglect, has a parent who is an alcohol or drug abuser, has an incarcerated family member, has someone in their home who is chronically depressed, suicidal, institutionalized, or mentally ill, if they've witnessed one parent being treated violently, or if they have only one or no parents, these are all considered adverse childhood experiences. When you have many of them, there are higher chances, higher probabilities of you having health issues down the road and just a host of other issues, developmental issues, whatever. This has, these are 2 PET scans of brains, and it just kind of shows the difference in brain activity between the healthy brain is the one that's lit up on the left, and then the brain that has low activity. And this is one that was a child that was actually in a nursing, or not a nursing home, but a orphanage. Yeah. Yeah. So they were definitely neglected. So there's difference in our brains. This study, it's called the ACEs study, and if you ever are interested in, there's a lot of information. This is just a piece of it. So those significant adverse childhood experiences, in the first 3 years, if a child only had 1 or 2 adverse childhood experiences, because we know a lot of kids that grow up in single parent households. So there are a lot of kids that come to us with at least 1. If they have 1 to 2, they might have developmental delays, like maybe 5 to 10% talk tonight, 5 to 10%. Look what happens if they have 7. If they have 7 adverse childhood experiences, there's a 100% chance that they're going to have developmental delays. And that's just developmental delays. There's also evidence that they have heart disease as adults. Cancer is more prevalent in people with adverse childhood experiences. Just a host of other, I mean, it's unbelievable, the list, if you go to the site. And the child has done nothing to cause it. And you know what else? Because we tend to parent like we've been parented, the cycle repeats. And so there are some programs for home interventionists that help people deal with their own ACEs, and then how can they make a difference for the children that they bore, you know, the children in their families, because it doesn't have to repeat, but it usually often does. So I just, one of the things that we can do though that helps offset the negative experiences is if a child has at least 1 person that thinks the world of them and that they can go to, that can offset the negative impact for these ACEs. That's why you guys matter so much, because sometimes you might be the only person that can build that resiliency. That's what this next slide is about. So this is not part of PBIS. This is part of a Devereaux training that I went to, but I think because it relates so nicely, we can help children build resilience. And resilience is just the ability to bounce back. We've seen people when things happen, negative things happen, and they bounce back. And it's like, how can they do that time after again? They keep having these negative things, but they bounce back. They're resilient because they have they've had that one person in their life that's pushed them on and said, you know what, you're okay, you're an amazing person, and just has given them that hope. If you don't have hope, it's hard to bounce back. So one of the things we can do is help kids become resilient. We can help them through those three bolded things: that attachment, which is it deals with relationships. We can help them bond with other people. We can help them develop initiative, that ability to try something and keep trying, and the ability to self-regulate. Learn how to control their emotions. And that starts with recognizing that I have emotions and starting to label those emotions. And once I can recognize them in myself and others and label them, then I can learn how to regulate them. So these three characteristics are called protective factors, and we can help children overcome those negative ACEs if we are that person that loves them unconditionally. And this just talks about self-regulation. Self-regulation is the ability to experience a range of feelings and express them with words and actions that society considers appropriate. So kids who are able to self-regulate, they can handle frustration well, they can adjust to changes in the routine, they know how to calm themselves, can follow a daily routine, they share, they calm themselves down when upset, they listen to and respect others, and they accept another choice when their first choice is unavailable. Those are the kids that are able to self-regulate. It's totally tied to attachment and bonding, and it begins in the womb. If there's no bonding and attachment, then a child can rarely self-regulate. So think back to that previous slide. We've heard of kids with reactive attachment disorder. Does that describe them in the opposite way? Trauma impacts how we self-regulate. So role modeling is very important. This is one thing, I went to Debbie Allen was the person who presented. And she said, rather than saying, I am mad, we need to say, I feel mad. And when you really think about it, there's a huge difference. I feel mad. Feelings change. I can change that feeling from feeling mad to feeling something different. If I say I am mad, then in the English language, am is kind of like an equal sign. So I am mad, therefore mad am I. We're one and the same. I am mad. But if we say I feel mad, it's a totally different way to think of it. So if you can do nothing else when you go back to your classrooms, try to use that word feel more than you do I'm just mad today. And here's another one. Punishment does not help children self-regulate. If we think we know self-regulation is one of those strategies that help children become resilient. And if we're just going to punish, we're not teaching them to self-regulate. What we need to do is we need to definitely build those relationships. So that's what we're going to start on right now, is just really building those responsive relationships. We're going to skip the table talk because I think you guys all know that it's important, right? Relationships are basically emotional connections. Think about a relationship that you have with somebody, whether it's a good one or a bad one. Let's think about a good one. So it's that emotional connection that you have with a person, and you've endured it over time. It has a special meaning between those two people, and you're creating memories and expectations in the minds of those people that you have that relationship with. Can you do this with the children in your classroom? Can you start to have those emotional connections over time? Can you start building those fun, memorable memories with the children that are in your care? In our classrooms, in our childcare programs, building positive relationships is the very foundation of everything we do. And parents are a critical component in building their children's social emotional competence. Building positive relationships in our rooms helps children feel accepted in a group. Have you ever been in a group where you felt like you really didn't belong? Tell me what some of your emotions that you felt when that happens to you. Or just how do you feel? Anxious? Do you want to stay? What was another one? I'm sorry. Sad? Mm-hmm. Definite feeling left out. Kind of like feeling like, or even, I remember being sick as a kid, like if you miss 2 or 3 days and then you come back and it just seems like you have, or for me anyway, because I was a more shy kid, it just felt like I had to kind of start over and I felt like I missed out on a joke or something. It takes a while to get back in. We want to have our kids feel accepted. When they walk into the classroom, we want them to feel represented and accepted. The benefits of a positive relationship in our classrooms helps children learn how to communicate with each other and how to get along. Positive classrooms encourage empathy and mutual respect. And it also gives them a place that's a supportive place where they can practice these new social behaviors. Are they going to get it right every time? No, but we practice. And you know what? We're just here to practice. That's what preschool is. I'll help you. That's what I want you guys to feel. Children with the most challenging behaviors, and I'm thinking of yours, Keisha, that you just talked about. Those are the kids that really need it the most. The hardest ones to love are the ones that need it the most. Because often they're doing those challenging behaviors and it's having the opposite effect because kids don't want to be around them, adults don't want to be around them, but they need it the most. Adults' time and attention are very important to children, and we need to make sure that our time and attention is spent when they're doing the new behavior. We want to give them attention when they're not doing the challenging behavior. And that's kind of a shift too, because we tend to, Johnny, stop, don't, get over here. What did he get? He got me to talk to him twice. He got my visual attention and I touched him because I brought him close to me. It's exactly what he wanted. But you know what we usually do? We're busy doing our teachery things, our adult things, and we don't give the kids the attention when they're doing the right thing. If we see Johnny and Terry playing together correctly, we just leave them alone and let them play. Ooh, they're being good today. We need to switch that. So think about all the types of relationships that are in your settings. I'm thinking like, we already know we have a teacher to child, right? What are some other relationships that we have? So adults to adults. What else? Or colleagues to colleagues, but there's other adults we have relationships with. Kids to kids, and one more. Parents. Yep. We need to make sure that we're doing things to nurture all those relationships. So we have staff to staff, staff to child, staff to parent, and child to child. So I want you guys to think about, and this is a share time, and we can just throw it out there. What are some things? I don't like that, groups of children. Yeah, maybe. Okay, we'll keep that. What are some things that you guys do to build relationships with groups of children? You what? A star angel? And what is a star angel? Okay, so they're kind of the leader of the other kids. Okay, so you're in. Okay, okay. Oh wow, that's pretty cool. So that's making. I guess I look at that as making individual children feel important in front of their peers. Oh really? Wow. So that is pretty impressive. Okay. 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 So getting a chance to perform, making again. Karaoke. Okay. And that gives them a chance to practice that initiation, feeling confident, gaining some confidence. Mm-hmm. That's where the witch comes out. Who is the witch? You. Oh, pumpkin. What are some other things that you can do to help children in groups feel, I don't know, that you're building relationships with groups of children? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Snack time is what? And they can just talk amongst themselves. Yeah. Mhm. And we want to build kids connecting with kids. And sometimes we have to facilitate, we have to set up situations to where they have to talk to a partner, grab a partner and let's do row, row, row your boat, and really encourage things to happen like that. Individual children, I heard a lot of the angel of the day, star angel, the talking on the radio. Those are some nice things that help kids to feel comfortable. Just talking to them, getting down on their level, having those conversations, getting to know what they like. some of their favorite things to do, playing with them. How about with coworkers? Do you guys build relationships with your coworkers? And if so, what do you do? Okay. Nice. Sometimes that's a harder one. Mhm. And really value their opinion. That's a good one. Giving feedback, if you feel like a coworker really did have a great idea, tell them that you appreciated that idea. That just, I mean, that goes, even though we don't like to admit it, we like people to tell us when we did the right thing, so hopefully we'll do that again. And with families, what do you do to encourage relationships with families? Mm-hmm. Sharing good information is one of the best things you can do, especially when you have that first conversation. If you can make a phone call or write a note and let that first phone call or note be a positive one, that will set the tone for your relationships down the road. Because usually, just like the negative behaviors, that's the first phone call. And I'm sorry, I keep picking, I hope no one has a child or a husband or anybody named Johnny, but that's just an easy word for me to pick because I don't know many Johnnies anymore. But if Johnny was being bad and the first phone call that as a parent that I got was that negative phone call, I'm already putting up barriers as a parent. Like, I don't like that teacher because she doesn't like the kid. What were you going to say? Seesaw is a really good. It's an app, right?
It's basically like a email and each one of your parents can put the app on their phone, and then you can take pictures and specifically send it to different kids. One kid, 5 kids, all. I mean, we have like a meal, and then you can add to the picture like just a brief explanation of what's going on. It's just kind of a really quick way to share what's going on in the day and
I've heard a lot of preschools are doing that now, and a lot of good feedback from parents. Really like being involved in their child's day and knowing those fun things that are happening or just what they're learning, what book they read. Here they are reading a book to acting out the Three Bears. Fun stuff. This is taken from a training called Connections Matter. But I like these sayings. The resilience of children depends on all of us. Because it does takes a community to build a child. Every young person should have a caring adult in their life. When parents can't be there, teachers, coaches, and mentors can make a big difference. You are going to have some children that parents can't be there. So please be the difference for those kids. The ability to thrive, adapt, and cope despite tough times, that's resilience. But it doesn't happen by itself. Relationships are the main ingredient that overcome tough times. Which brings us also into those attachment or the relationships. So we've got initiative, we've got attachment, and we've got that self-regulation. Well, this is attachment. That's that mutual, strong, long-lasting relationship between a child and significant adults. Kids who have strong attachments or relationships, they show affection for familiar people. You've seen kids that do and kids that don't. Those kids that don't show the relationships, that strong affection, those are the ones we need to work on the attachment with. Kids who have strong attachment, they smile at familiar adults, they seek comfort from them, they reach, they act happy or excited when their parent returns. They trust familiar adults and believe what they say, and they seek help when they need help. You can help promote attachment by doing what you say you're going to do. If you make idle threats, you're not building attachment. If you make promises that you know you're not going to keep, you are not building attachment. You want to have routines and consistency, because routines and consistency builds trust, and that helps with attachment. Meeting the children's individual needs helps with attachment, and we have to remember that every child has different needs. If Johnny needs to be close and sit on my lap when I'm reading the story, that's what he needs right now. And it doesn't matter that 17 other kids, I hear that a lot. It's like, well, they're going to wish that they had that too. I'm like, but he needs it right now, and that's okay. I'll give my love to the other 17 at other times, but right now he needs it because he's doing the right thing and he needs it. Remember that fair is meeting the needs of every child, not making it the same for every child. And that's something we have to get over to. So here's some ways that we can build positive relationships. We have to think of every child as having an emotional piggy bank. And things that build that emotion, build up that emotional bank, things that can make deposits, are when we show empathy with the child, when we try to look at things from their perspective and think how they might be feeling. When we play with children, we're putting coins into their emotional piggy bank. When we're encouraging them when things are hard, when we send those positive notes home, when we give them time and attention, and we're having those fun conversations with them, and those conversations are going back and forth. Remember the tennis ball in that one video? That's building up their emotional bank. When we do home visits and show kids that we really are excited to learn about them and their families, when we are putting their pictures of their families on the wall and we're putting their art on the wall and we're letting them make choices, that's building their emotional bank. One of the things we need to make sure we do is we are, in order for us to have a positive relationship with a child or anybody, we have to have at least a 5-to-1 ratio of positive deposits versus withdrawals. This, and I didn't know this until a couple of weeks ago when we went to Centering on Centers, and Ron Roybal, who is an expert in this, he said this information actually came from marriage counseling. And people who had a 5-to-1 ratio, positive versus negative, when the spouse was giving positive, building up their piggy banks, they would be okay. If it was less than 5-to-1, if it was a 1-to-1, they would get a divorce. It was just interesting. And for kids who are really those hard to handle kids, those kids that come to us with a lot of ACEs and parents might be making a lot of withdrawals, those kids actually need 10 to 1. And so positive, just by saying, hey, Johnny, cool shoes. That could be one. Wow, you got your coat off all by yourself. High five, buddy. That could be maybe 3. If I looked at him, gave him a high five, and talked to him. I mean, those kids, they need it so much. Give children the attention when they're engaged in appropriate behaviors. If we're saying no, don't, stop, 3 withdrawals. Now I got to make up for it by doing 15 positives. Here's some positive adult-child interactions. Acknowledge their communication, either verbally or non-verbally. When they talk, show that you care about what they're saying. That's a non-verbal. Show by your face that you're interested. They know when we're faking it. They know when we're really interested and when we're not. Greet them by their names. People love to have their names remembered. Engage in one-to-one interactions at eye level. And I didn't know this until Ron Roybal told us, but when we're standing up here and the child is down here, we're making a withdrawal from the cookie. We need to be down at their level so we can have those one-to-one interactions. We need to use pleasant, calm voices. That's making deposits. That warm, responsive physical contact is making a warm deposit. And I hope you guys never ever stop hugging your kids because they need hugs. Follow the child's lead and their interests when you're playing with them. Don't let it always be you. Hey guys, let's build a town. You do this, do that. We need to let them, and we can follow their lead, because that is what that's what puts the deposits in their piggy banks. Listen to children and encourage them to listen to others. One of the classrooms that I visit, the teacher, when the children take turns and they talk, the teacher says, whoa, Chloe's talking. Everybody, let's show Chloe some attention. Everybody look at Chloe. She's our speaker right now. And just encourages people to stop what they're doing and look at the speaker. Acknowledge their accomplishments and also their efforts, because they're not always going to do everything. Not every kid can get their coat on, but acknowledge their effort. Hey, wow, you got one sleeve in by yourself today. High five, buddy. That's awesome. Aren't you proud? Acknowledge their efforts. And we have to build these positive relationships with all of our children. Think about how our deposits change. Thinking about those behaviors that push our buttons. What happens when a child doesn't respond to our attention? What? Yeah. So we might have to try harder. So let's reframe that. Let's see how we can reframe. So he's on the go. So he's very active. He's very vocal. Okay. So of course, where their tension goes, So he needs to, so we can reframe and think, wow, he's really active and vocal. I have some great new strategies that I can teach him how to. And he's how old? Right. Mm-hmm. So hopefully you'll learn some strategies when it comes to, let's get our routine in place. Let's teach the expectations for those routines. Let's give positive feedback when I see children doing those routines. Hopefully I can ignore this behavior and really give the feedback when he's doing the right thing, even if it's for 2 seconds. Whoa, 2 seconds today. And it's little bits at a time and really focusing on him when he's doing the right thing. It's hard. The more we do it, the easier it becomes. Trust me, when I first started teaching, I was the teacher who I could tell a kid to lay down on his carpet and he was up all the time running around and I could get really firm. I said, lay on your carpet. He was up running around, and this was when I was first teaching young. And one of my paras could come in there and she would say the exact same words, point her finger on the mat, lay down on the carpet. Boom, he was on the carpet. How does she do it? Eventually, you'll get it. And I guess, this is kind of off track. You guys know, like, not that I'm comparing children to dogs, but do you know that when a dog can sense your fear, it's going to growl at you and it's going to come and attack you? And I look at children that way too. And if I'm afraid of that dog, it's going to know it and it's going to run after me. And I know that's true because I see it in people that are afraid of dogs. But if you have that command and you just know inside yourself, I'm the boss, sit, and the dog will stay away. It's just once you get it, it'll be easier for you. And when you know, I've got these strategies, it might not work the first time, but I'm here to help this child and I'm here for the long haul and we're going to get this. And it does come. We do, when we're building positive relationships, we are going to have those children that don't respond. We figure out, why is it that they're not responding? Is it they haven't learned that joint attention yet? Do I have to try to get their attention? Is it what's the reason for their not responding? Same if they can't hear or see us. We have to give deposits differently. Obviously, a wink when they're doing the right thing isn't going to work for a child who can't see. So we just have to think about, how are we going to make sure we get that 5-to-1 deposit for all of our children? And here's the benefit. When children have their emotional banks full, we are positively influencing not only their social emotional, but also their cognitive development. We're helping children develop those secure relationships with other adults, and relationships are what they're going to need for the rest of their lives. We also help children develop good peer relationships. We're reducing those problem behaviors. We're helping them build a positive self-esteem, and we're helping them to become more engaged. And when kids are engaged in things, they're learning. You guys look like you're fading on me. I know it's getting close to the end, isn't it? Be a bucket filler. You guys have done that fill your bucket thing. Have you seen those? There's a book called Fill Your Bucket. Again, here's some on the left are some things that you can do that help make those emotional deposits. On the right are some of the things that are definitely withdrawals. I'm just going to let you look at those for a minute. Mirroring, to me, what mirroring would be like, I'm going to pretend like you're parallel talking. I look at that as like the commenting when they're doing something and you just comment on what they're doing. There's also that extended, well, there's the expansion talking. It's like, I look at self-talk when I'm doing something and I'm just talking about what I'm doing. You know, I'm walking to the thing. You're, oh, I see you're drawing a picture. I'm going to draw a picture. I guess I look at parallel talk, it's just kind of saying what they're saying, but saying it differently. You said, I go to the store. Oh, you went to the store. To me, that's parallel talk. You're just saying what they said, but changing it a little bit. One of the withdrawals that I thought was interesting, when we give demands or give them directions, we're actually withdrawing from their emotional bank. That's one reason we want to definitely set up our environments to where we don't have to give so many commands. And like Ron told us when he was doing his Centering on Centers presentation, sometimes when kids come to us and we say, good morning, how was your day? Now go hang up your coat, go hang up your backpack, wash your hands, make sure you do this. Think about every single one of those: withdrawal, 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 withdrawal. Those are all demands and directions. But if I had a schedule that children knew the routine, and every day we did the routine and they come in, hey, I'm so happy to see you here today. Woo! Good to see ya. And they know, they can see, oh, I hang up my backpack, I hang up my coat. They already know what to do. We don't have to tell them that. But why do we tell them that? Something to think about. We talked about that already. These are some ways that we can make individual deposits, which is kind of a nice, fun things to do. Call home. That's putting deposits in your emotional piggy bank. Having a special t-shirt, and this one was one like when it's somebody's birthday and the teacher probably furnishes the t-shirt, or have a child bring a t-shirt from home and everybody can draw a picture with a magic marker on their t-shirt, happy birthday. Or if it's the angel star of the day, maybe they could have a special card that goes home and everybody signs the card. Just making them feel, I'm special today, I'm important. Playing, acknowledging when a child is not there. If a child is absent, give them a call. Hey, I missed you today. Unless you think that would encourage them to be absent quite often. I don't know. I think that's a better way to do it, yeah. Or if they're, yeah, I missed you yesterday. And again, acknowledging their efforts, not always the accomplishment. I mean, do that too, but always do their efforts. Showcasing your students. A lot of people have This Is Me boards or family boards. Showcase it. Let them see that they're a part of this community in your classrooms, in your buildings. all about me posters. Attendance and helper charts. Do you guys all do attendance charts? Who's here today? Who's not here today? When kids check in, okay. That just makes them feel special. I've seen some classrooms that take pictures of each of the children and they put it on like cardstock and then they tape it to blocks. So then when kids are playing, oh, I'm gonna have Billy come and play with me and Sonia's gonna come play, and they see each other's faces and they learn their names better too. So we are going to watch this video and we'll just watch this video. I don't think it's that long. But what I want you to do is watch how the teacher does things that builds positive relations with her and this child.
I was thinking we could have a pajama party or a slumber party.
That's not, oh, that sounds like fun. I used to have those when I was little.
What?
Pajama parties.
You?
Yeah, we'd have pizza and stuff, you know.
We used to have pizza. I had pizza at the center.
At the center?
Yep.
Is it from the pizza place or does the lady make it?
The lady make it. We would watch the SpongeBob movie.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. How is it?
Great. It's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Can you tell me about the story? Because I don't know anything about it, because I don't have little kids at home to watch this stuff. So you all have to tell me what's going on.
Well, I'll tell you about the stuff eating
Okay, go
and
ahead.
toys.
What happened?
They are copying you by the house area and the block area and the computer and the writing area and the penning area and
We don't have art now. Remember, that's our studio. Is that the after-school place you go to?
yeah, and they got sand
But
and they copying the doors we got
whose is better, this class or the after-school?
this class.
Why?
Because I like it when Janelle was there and Rita and Miss Ellie.
Okay.
and Miss Elizabeth.
So what do you do? What do you do there?
Well, I can tell you the stuff they got.
What do they got?
They got red, blue, green, and some more planks and bowls.
Yeah.
The same cups.
Yeah. Oh, so they don't use paper when they eat? They have regular cups and stuff? Yeah.
For the house area.
Oh, they have the same ones as us?
Yup. They copying you with everything. And the other one computer work and the other one computer work.
Well, that one computers. We're going to try to get it fixed. I'm going to ask, okay? Because it's hard to wait your turn, huh? Who's over there on the rug? That Miss Bella?
Miss Bella and Miss Elizabeth.
Oh. So, but you have a good time there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they're really copying us. I think they know what children like to play with. So they have the same stuff. What's your favorite thing there?
I'll tell you what's my favorite toy.
What's your favorite toy?
Later with my teacher, Miss Ellie.
Oh, what about the after school? What do you like there?
I like to play with Kelly and Claudia.
Oh, so you made new friends already?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's because you're a wonderful little girl, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Have they been there for a long time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they helped you out with like the rules and stuff?
Yeah.
Or do they have the same rules as us?
Yep.
Same?
The old ones.
The old ones?
And they try to copy us with the brand new stuff too.
Yeah, but do you remember when we talked about if someone copying you, that means they must like what you're doing, so it's okay? Yeah. So they must think that we're really good here, huh? Yeah, you think so?
What did you see her do that was building positive relationships? her eyes. Mhm. She kept the conversation going too, didn't she? Lots and back and forth. Yeah, she was. What else? Anything else? Mhm. Mhm. Definitely showed interest, and her facial, yeah, her facial expressions really showed that she was interested in this little girl. That's where we're going to stop tonight. What are you going to think about from now till next week when we have our next meeting? Okay. So 5. Yep, these are yours. And please bring this back next time because we'll be working through all of this stuff. Need 2 more things you're going to think about. So we got 5-to-1 ratio. Who else has something? Noticing the positives. Okay. Yep. Did we get our 3? Give me one more thing I want you guys to go away with. I'll give you one then. I should have waited 5 seconds. Let me wait 5 seconds. Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'll see you guys hopefully next week. No snow, no ice, nothing. Thank you.